The Brutalist is a film about an Hungarian Jewish immigrant who immigrates to the United States looking for a better life.
Laszlo Talk, is that you?
What can I do for you?
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
Adrian Brody's character immigrates to the United States, Pennsylvania, during the 1950s, 40s, around that period of time. And Adrian Brody's character is trying to, fit in with the crowd. He's trying to make something of himself. He's trying to build his life, and he has connections. He has people that he knows. Like, we see cool characters in here, like my man Alessandro Lavola. Man, he's everywhere. You gotta put some respect on Alessandro Lavola, man, because this dude is wild and crazy, and he's wild and crazy in this movie. And every time I see him on screen, I love this man because he always brings his A game.
I love you. I love you. This is my daughter. She loves you. Go ahead, take a picture with her. Kiss her. Hug her. Go ahead, kiss her. Fuck her, man. She loves you. Go ahead, man.
So you got Adrian Brody in here, and he's a phenomenal actor. He's doing his thing. And then he has his wife, who is back in their home country. And she's played by Felicity Jones. And we don't see her till way later in the film. But when she shows up, we see the relationship and the dynamics of that. And then Adrian Brody's character meets Guy Pearce, who plays this wealthy, just mean businessman. But at the same time, it's like he wants to help Adrian Brody's character and his family. He wants to help make something of him. Like, there's a scene where Guy Pearce's character says, you have so much potential, but you're wasting it.
Perhaps you can help your husband sound less like he shines shoes for a wage.
Haven't you told them anything about me?
Laszlo, how long have you been here now? 4, 5 years? You have no excuse anymore. I'm sorry, I got a little carried away there. Will you please pass that back?
The interesting thing about the story in this is that we are witnessing Adrian Brody's character go through his trials and tribulations in life and his struggles. And the constant struggle that he goes through is that every time he reaches that point of making something of himself and creating something, because he's into brutalism. He's been to brutalist architecture, which is just stone buildings and glass and shapes. And this was, I think, a big movement back during that time. I don't know anything about this. I didn't even know why this movie was called The Brutalist.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
There's always something that comes in during a moment where he's about to succeed, and it crushes all of his dreams, and it constantly happens. But he doesn't give up. He keeps going, and there's just this pile of stuff that keeps just happening, and it just becomes more and more apparent that, maybe the American dream isn't all it's cracked up to be.
It's really the story of how the fabric of America has been built. Nothing is as we imagine it to be.
We all have blood, skin, hair, teeth. We all want the same thing in life. We all want to be happy and just live. Why can't we all just live and be happy? No, somebody's got to be mad because this person looks different than them or whatever, has different opinions. It's all stupid. And I think this movie is a perfect illustration of that. It's a perfect illustration of just how nasty and cruel the world can be. But then at the same time, there is beauty within the world. And I think the beauty that is showcased in this film is the architecture. The architecture that is showcased in this film is chef's kisses. The directing in here from Brady Corbet is fantastic. Like, this is Stanley Kubrick levels of filmmaking.
Just technically, because the film is so technically ambitious and shot on VistaVision, which is a 8x 35mm format that was developed, I think, by Paramount in the 1950s. The reason we wanted to shoot the film on that format was for two reasons. One is that it is, of course, a technology that was, like that was developed during the time when the movie is set, so that was kind of a no-brainer. But the other thing is that its field of view is quite extraordinary, which is to say that you can be on a 50 millimeter lens, which is like what you would photograph, like, you know, the human face with, essentially. And if you were at the, you know, the corner and very close in proximity to a 6-story building, VistaVision's field of view could contain the entire building inside of its frame. And so for a film about architecture, it just was sort of a no-brainer.
We had a range of cameras available to us. We had an Arri 235, which is a small handheld camera, which I used for only one sequence that I remember, which is the beginning of the movie. Then a 435, an Arri Cam LT and ST, and obviously the VistaVision and the Digibeta. And then we shot on Cooke S4 lenses, which we had shot on previous movies. We keep gravitating back to them despite how much testing we do. We just really love them. And Leica R lenses that we used on the VistaVision also. Hi, I'm Lol Crawley. I'm the cinematographer on The Brutalist.
There are numerous scenes. You could say the entire film is just littered with beautiful shots of landscapes, architecture, and it's so immersive. It's so immersive. And then the music here, the music being composed is so immersive as well, along with the visuals.
For a film about construction, I did a session on the prepared piano. The piano is made up of many hammers that hammer the strings. And if you interfere with the strings by putting screws and objects into the strings, you can get these strange percussive sounds. It just felt like that could be a good starting point for The Brutalist.
Knowing that this movie is 3.5 hours long may turn some people away, may turn some people off, and I completely understand that. I was a little skeptical and scared myself going into this. I was like, oh my God, man, it's 3.5 hours, man. I don't know if I can do that. But here's my thing. Just tell me a good story.
I think it's quite silly, actually, to have a conversation about runtime, because that's like criticizing a book for being 700 pages versus 100 pages.
Just tell me a good story. Create a good film. And that's what this is, like, all the way around. It's absolutely fantastic. And I will say that for me, the first half, it's broken into numerous parts. And I would say for me, the first half of this is fantastic. Like when we get to learn about Adrian Brody's character, him coming to America, and then his wife is like writing him all the time, and we hear voiceover from her until we finally see her. But then we see just this constant struggle that Adrian Brody's character is going through, just trying to live that American dream. And it's just like, yeah, is it all it's cracked up to be? And I find that to be very interesting. And you may say, does that need to be 3.5 hours? And maybe not, I don't know, because there is a lot of shots of just, random landscapes and architecture, but it is so immersive, it is so beautiful, and it sucks you into the whole film. And there was not one point where I was bored, turn this off, I want to leave, I don't want to watch this. Like the first half for me, fantastic, sucks me in, get to know who these people are. And then the second half is when, his wife comes over, and then, all this other stuff happens, and it continues on. And the second half for me kind of just isn't as good as the first half. And I feel like the second half, there's a lot of just quick cutting and editing. It's really jarring. Like there's a moment in here where it's emotional and something's happening, and the scene just immediately cuts to something else, and I find that to be very jarring, because I'm like, I want to soak this in a little bit more. Let me soak this in some more and feel that emotion. But no, we quick cut to another scene. Whereas when I think about it now, in the first half of this film, there's another moment where there's an emotional scene, and Adrian Brody is crying, and Alessandro Lavola is there, and he's hugging him, and they're crying, and it's very emotional. And the director lingers on that shot for a good long while, to the point where I was sitting there, I was like, are you gonna cut anytime soon? So it's like, I guess, you got your yin and your yang here, and I guess, when you're watching it, you really don't know what you want. You just got to sit there, shut up, and absorb it and enjoy it. And I enjoyed it. Ultimately, I thought this was a phenomenal film all the way around. Like I said, Stanley Kubrick levels of filmmaking. Like there was one shot in here of a train, an overhead shot, and you see see all the smoke and the landscape, and then you hear the score, and it immediately made me think of the opening to The Shining, just the sound and the visuals, and I was like, yes, this is filmmaking. This is filmmaking right here. This is art.
Answer me something. Why architecture?
Is there a better description of a cube than that of its construction? It is my understanding that many of the sites of my projects had survived. They remain there, still in the city.
This is a pure film. This is a film. This is film making at its finest. That's all I have to say.